Hello, this is the first part of the Outlive book summary, The Science and Art of Longevity. This is a really great book with a lot of helpful advice that I've found for myself. So longevity is malleable. Most people will pass away in their 70s or 80s from these four causes, also known as the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Heart disease, neurodegenerative disease, diabetes or metabolic disease, and cancer. Those are the four horsemen. There are two parts to longevity. Number one, the length of life, and number two, the quality of life. Mortality rates start to increase in middle age, so it's best to focus on your health right now. When it comes to cardiovascular disease, the death rate has been cut by 2/3, which is good news. Unfortunately, there has been barely any progress made in curing cancer in the past few decades. This is because the disease had been caught too late in most cases, and the same with cardiovascular disease, which takes a few decades to develop. Prevention is best. Catching pre-diabetes is already late in many cases. Doctors need to be proactive, not reactive. Nutritional biochemistry is more valuable than diet. One's emotional health can destroy the body just as much as physical disorders. If one is moody or in a bad mood or constantly angry, it has very bad effects on the health. Proactive medicine is best. The author of the book, Peter, wasn't thin and he weighed around 200 pounds before age 40. He was at risk of passing away from cardiovascular disease. He wanted to understand the actual cause of atherosclerosis and studied gerontology too. There were two eras in medicine. The first was direct observation and guesses era. The second era, Medicine 2.0, was the discovery of germs by Salavies. The third shift was the discovery of the scientific method and experimentation. Medicine 2.0 is not practical for long-term illnesses. Chronic disease develops over years and decades. I was surprised to find that a lot of these degenerative diseases took many decades to develop in people before they had an effect. Medicine 3.0, the new type of medicine, prevents diseases from happening to begin with. 3.0 medicine is about a change in perspective and seeing patients as unique individuals. Medicine 3.0 focuses on maintaining quality of life. Medicine risk prevention tools can't see far past the horizon, and that's a problem. In Medicine 3.0, long-range radar and tools must be used to prevent a disease decades before it even happens. Diseases grow inside people for decades in silence, and this is something I learned and didn't realize the huge lifespan of a disease. Centenarians delay or prevent the onset of long-term disease. Cognitive decline is the first part of decline, and the point is to minimize it. The second part of decline is frailty. The third type of deterioration is a decline in happiness. It tends to reach its peak at age 47, but unhappiness has its origin in childhood or teenhood in many cases. I have a feeling that the decline in happiness can actually lead to these degenerative health problems, since mental health really affects our bodies. The author used to prioritize nutrition above everything else. Now he prioritizes exercise because it prevents the decline of the body and the mind. The oldest person ever was a French woman, Jeanne Calment, who smoked and lived to be 122. Centenarians aren't trying to be aware of healthy lifestyles, not any more than the average person. The 500 subjects of the Einstein study on centenarians, they drank and smoked. The over 100-year-old people make up only 0.3% of the population. For each centenarian in the world, there are 9 billionaires, which means that billionaires are more common than old people past age 100. Genes might be responsible for only 20 to 30% of your lifespan, but the older people get, the more genes matter. Centenarians tend to develop the four horsemen of the apocalypse diseases much later than the average person, in fact, decades later. Centenarians get sick or disabled for a shorter period of time than the average person, which means they have a shorter period of disease, and this is known as a compression of morbidity. Natural selection doesn't really care about a person past reproductive age. No two people past age 100 get there in the same way. One or two genes can't be responsible for a person's old age. A wide variety of genes must exist, each contributing a little to making one 100 years old. The rest of the population must work hard to get the same benefits that centenarians have. The expression of genes is affected by the environment. Centenarians are resilient despite a lousy diet and bad habits like smoking. Rapamycin extends the lifespan. Rapamycin came from the soil on an island and was first believed to be a cure for athlete's foot. But it was later discovered that it helps the immune system too. It also helps stunted blood vessels heal. In one study, mice given rapamycin lived much longer. This molecule was given to older mice, and it still expanded their lifespan. Resveratrol also expanded the lifespan in mice. The supplement is found in grape skin. Reducing how much food one eats can extend the lifespan in both mice and humans. Underfed mice not only lived longer, they were also healthier. This has been proven in yeast, worms, flies, fish, and other types of animals. Autophagy is the process of cleaning out and eating dead cells, and this is done by lysosomes. Too much autophagy isn't good, but eliminating mutated or dead cells is essential, otherwise people can get mutations. As people get older, autophagy declines. The one risk of rapamycin is that it can suppress the immune system. It's suspected that it's an immune modulator, which means it can increase or decrease immunity. It turns out that drinking a ton of soda per day makes the liver fatty. This has been known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, also known as NASH. This type of liver disease has no symptoms. In the 1970s, 200 pounds for a man were considered very heavy, but today it might be an average weight. If one's liver is in the correct range of data, it doesn't mean that it's healthy. Metabolic dysfunction increases the risk for the four horsemen diseases. People can be metabolically unhealthy but not obese, and vice versa. Metabolic dysfunction syndrome is characterized by these 5 issues. High blood pressure is the first one. The second one is high triglycerides. The third one is low HDL cholesterol, since this is the good cholesterol. Number 4 is central adiposity, a bigger waist circumference, more than 40 inches for males, and greater than 35 inches for females is unhealthy. Elevated fasting glucose is the 5th one. If someone has 3 or more of these 5 symptoms that I just mentioned, then one has metabolic dysfunction. Many people who have average weight also have a few of these characteristics. People who were overweight but had typical metabolic characteristics weren't at much risk for disease. Thank you for watching. I'm wishing you much health.